This Saturday, focus falls once again on the fight against gender-based violence and discrimination against women. While to offer support to the scores of victims of gender-based violence, people opposed to women abuse of POWA have launched the More Than a Click campaign this Women's Month. Well, for more on the campaign, we have in studio Zanele Nkosi. She's a POWA board member. Good afternoon, Zanele, and thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.
Thank you very much for having me here, Katie.
Well, Facebook was indeed abuzz yesterday. What's the intention behind a campaign of this nature, and how does it work? Take us through.
So indeed, we had some female celebrities changing their status to single for their quite high-profile relationships, and the basic intention is to show how easy it is on Facebook to, with a click, just change that relationship status, but much more difficult for women within abusive relationships.
Why is it so difficult for women caught up in these abusive, violent relationships to leave?
And there are a multitude of reasons. So my personal reason is always remember that this is a love relationship. Yes. So there is this hope that will be the thing
there's
that
an emotional attachment.
Absolutely. Yes. And that it will change in terms of whatever abuse is happening, that will go away. At times it's about resources. It is about whether women actually have the financial resources, they have the ability to up and leave the relationship. And thirdly, after you've been abused for a long period of time or for a period of time, your self-confidence is eroded. So to be able to stand up and leave is also quite challenging. And judgment from society. So it's terrifying to leave, judgment from your peers, judgment from your community in terms of how you have found yourself in this situation and why you are staying. So all of those reasons completely contribute to women staying within a relationship.
Is there still a fair degree of stigma attached to one in abusive relationship?
So the lack of speaking out about it absolutely suggests that. And women are, the question of why do you still stay is one that is often put to women in these relationships, and they fear the judgment. And speaking to survivors of domestic violence is that worried about what their families will say, what people in their church will say. How could I, this person who is possibly financially, sometimes independent even in their own right, stay within this context that doesn't talk to who I am in public.
What kind of support network should we have in place to assist women in this kind of situation? So
the intention of this campaign that we have put together with Ogilvy and Mather is to show to allow people to speak out about it. So for us to create that awareness, to be able to give women in violence, in relationships that have violence in them, the opportunity to be able to reach out for help. So that basic intention, the basic societal agreement to speak out about domestic violence, to not hide from our peers in terms of that shame and guilt that we have about being abused, as well as for us as individuals to not judge women within these contexts.
Zanele, one wonders, our police chief is a woman, half our cabinet are female. How do we get it right?
So,
I mean, these problems persist year in and year out.
Indeed, and I never remember where the quote was from, but that whole thing of women hold up half the sky, or we're 50% of the population. The other 50% has to come to the party. Basically, without that, without the input of men, without the change in the way that we socialize our boys, without men speaking up as well alongside women, the change will never happen.
But that, of course, will only come if we change patriarchal attitudes on the ground and really speak to the hearts and minds of men, more especially. So
exactly. So it is an attitude change, and I think that what the fear is, so to speak, the fear of if we change aspects of patriarchy is that people will lose their power base as heads of families, as whatever the case may be, whatever that comes with, the emotion that's attached to patriarchy. Those are the issues that people grapple with. What we're saying as women and as POWA and other organizations standing up against gender-based violence is that we need men's support to say violence will not happen in my name, that we need them to respect women within their relationships and not perpetuate the cycle of violence.
Well, in South Africa we have one of the highest rates of femicide, which is the killing of a female by an intimate partner. How do we begin to break this cycle of violence, especially taking into account that victims are becoming younger and younger?
Yeah, so, and the research think the last research was that every 8 hours a woman is killed by an intimate partner in South Africa. And my warning always to women is, if somebody has made that threat to you, there's always the chance that it will happen. So please seek help. Get some support and see where you can get people to get you out of that context. And we do need to keep talking about it. And I agree with you. We talk about it all the time. So we have the Women's Month that comes by every year. We have the 16 days of activism that comes by every year. And we still find ourselves in this context. So we need to
keep the momentum going.
But to convert it. So, for example, this is a campaign, and we're creating awareness, but it's a call to action to people. So it's not good enough for us to just go, okay, so we know about this now. The thing is, what are we going to do? So our invitation to you as an organization, to everybody, is convert that into, almost converting into the purchase of the campaign, as you would do in an ad campaign.
Thank you for your time on the PM News Desk, Zanele. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. That was Zanele Nkosi, a POWA board member.